If you think about it, there's so many religions out there, and they all depend on one thing, which is the Bible, right?
No.
I can understand between people's religions, and that might...
I'll put you on hold. I didn't hang up. There's a problem with the mics where you can't always hear us when we're talking. When you say there's all these religions out there and they all depend on the Bible, you are factually in error. Right. There's only a handful that depend on the Bible. There's thousands of different Christian denominations, but you've ignored any religion that depends on the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or any
right?
Yeah,
the Vedas, Upanishads.
Yeah, I said it wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. Bhagavad Gita. That's
anyways, there's always literature to something. So how can you say that everybody depends on their feelings? If you read in the Bible, basically the Bible is a way of life. Let me
ask you one quick question. Yeah. What makes you think that the Bible might remotely be true? What evidence do you have
what evidence do you have that it's not true?
The point is you're going on, you believe it. You feel that it's true. When you read it, you feel that it's true. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with your feelings. That's how you feel, and that's your legitimate feeling. I'm simply saying that most people, when they believe in things to do with religion, are believing based on their feelings. Where
are you getting the facts from, the information?
Actually, that's what I've got here today. I pulled up a bunch of believer testimony
from the website, from an internet website, or
just different people
we're talking about raw statistical numbers or facts.
Well, I mean,
the question is there any good reason to think that the Bible is an authority, that it's a word of God, that's a message for your life? Is there any good reason?
Well, why wouldn't it be? How could you question that if you're saying, well, there's only a handful of religions that use the Bible, and then there's other religions that use different other, like the Quran or whatever.
Right.
If you're saying, well, how do you believe in the Bible? How can you read in the Bible and think that that's real? Well, then why aren't you questioning everybody else? How are they wrong if everybody has a different belief?
How are you saying that the others are wrong?
That's just like your opinion. That's like my opinion and your opinion.
Okay, so your belief is nothing more than just another opinion. It's largely irrelevant to anything else. It's like
not to me. Not to me, but I mean, to other people it might be.
What we're talking about here today, though, is the reasons people believe things, and I'm just simply saying that.
What's the reason why you don't believe in God?
Because there's no evidence. There's no evidence and no good reason to think that any of it's true.
But then again, you're saying that from 5 to 30 you believe in God. So what was the reason between those time periods that you believed in God and now you don't?
Because I was raised to believe, and I was ignorant, and I did not go out and investigate to find out whether or not any of this was likely to be true.
You didn't find the information or the statistical matter, or where you just woke up one day and was like, I don't believe in God, or what made you just?
No, that's not remotely it.
This is why we're having the show today.
I can't. Obviously, I mean, you missed part of the show. There's something critical that you're missing, and that is that I believed. And what I said was the reason that I've changed my beliefs is because I went out to find out whether or not my beliefs were likely to be true, whether there was a good reason to believe that it was true. Don't you?
And what was the good reason?
Hang on, would you wait just a second? Do you care whether or not what you believe is true?
Well, in the Bible, because I'm a Christian, so the Bible says there's not no.
I don't care about the Bible. I asked a question. Do you care whether or not what you believe is true? That's important.
I lean on faith, so I don't. There's no real information. That's just like me saying, well, I was born one day, and because I don't know where I came from,
So you don't care whether or not your beliefs are true.
Human existence. I mean, what?
So what you're saying is that you do not care whether or not your beliefs are true.
Also, I want to add that you just said that you believe on faith and that you have no real information. And when I say that's why you believe, you seem to get offended by it. But yet when you say it, it's exactly what I just said.
Because we're having a conversation, but what I'm saying is I lean on faith because I don't know what's going to happen next. So it's not, I don't wake up in the morning and I don't depend on myself. That's the reason why I believe in God. I believe that God will help me throughout the day.
So you believe because it feels good.
And I lean on that.
Yeah.
Because I lean on trust. I lean on faith. I lean on that.
It's comforting to you.
You feel because it feels good. It's comforting, right?
I do it because that's what's real.
No. That's not what you've said, and that's critical.
You said there's no real information.
Everything you said is that there's no information, that there's no... Now you're saying that you're doing it because it's real. Now, I asked you earlier whether or not you cared what you believe is true, and you ducked to that answer.
Yes, of course. No, I said I cared, but I said you probably wouldn't care because that's my opinion. That's what I said.
No.
Everybody has their own opinions, and that's the whole reason why you're an atheist and I'm a Christian. Everybody has their own opinions, their own beliefs.
If it's something you can easily discard as a matter of just opinion, then we might as well be talking about whether we like chocolate or vanilla.
Wait a second. Whether or not something exists is not an opinion. If I say that a chair exists...
Well, that's basically how it is for you, because you're just,
No, it's not how it is for us.
Existence is a matter of reality. I mean, if something exists or it does not exist, that's not an opinion.
This pen is either here or it isn't.
Yeah.
God either exists or it doesn't.
Right.
Your beliefs are either true or they are not true.
Right. This is not a matter of opinion. Opinion would be whether or not the pen writes well, but the pen is here, and that is a fact. And even if I hold up nothing and say that a pen exists in my hand, that's also a statement of fact. It is a false statement of fact. But when you say something exists, you are claiming fact, not opinion.
Additionally, let's ignore all of that for a second and say that we were talking about matters that just boiled down to opinion. The morality of something like slavery, for example, that's just an opinion. It doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it should be okay for somebody to think that slavery is okay. But in reality, we realize that slavery is morally wrong and that it's worth taking the time and effort to point out to people why it's wrong. And it's worth taking the time and effort to say that, you know what, this isn't just a matter of opinion. It's about how we want to live and what is right in how we treat each other.
That's because slavery actually happened. That's because there were people that actually witnessed slavery with their own eyes. We can't witness what's in supernatural or what's in the natural.
Correct.
Exactly.
That's why we don't believe it. Because you can't observe it. There's nothing to observe.
You've completely transposed.
So you mean to tell me that you depend on yourself every day and you think when you die you're not going to go anywhere?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
So where did you come from? Do you know?
My
My
parents.
parents, yeah.
And that's it. Where did your parents come from? And their parents and their
parents.
grandparents and their grandparents come
Yeah.
from? You don't think that there's
If the answer
people came from people?
well, they do come from people.
Are we evolved from monkeys? I mean, where do you think we came from?
I think that apes and humans have a common ancestor.
Regardless,
But it doesn't matter.
Regardless, the fact
Well,
is,
it does matter.
No, it actually
you have to come
doesn't.
from somewhere.
Even
You don't believe that you have a soul within?
No.
Believe in none of that?
No. But even if the answer to where did biology originate, like where did biological organisms originate, if the answer to that is I don't know, it still doesn't prove there's a God.
But nobody really knows, though.
You just admitted nobody really knows. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you don't know, then it seems silly to claim that there's a God that did it.
And it's absurd to believe something without evidence to support that belief.
Right.
And if you want to say that you believe based on faith, congratulations.
Then you're just
joining
supporting what
the
I'm claiming.
millions of other
Yeah.
people who are willing to comfortably hold an irrational, contradictory belief in their head and deal with the rest of their life on reasonable terms.
But to say honestly, I don't know, and then say, I believe God did it, it's like you can't say that. If the truth is you don't know, then you should say, I don't know.
Well, the only thing the only thing I have to say is the Bible's been around for many, many years. There's been dinosaurs, there's been people, we've evolved, and throughout the years, people die off. You don't live forever, right?
Yeah.
But the Bible has lasted around for many, many years, and
So
that's been proof
Upanishads.
because it's actually been handed down from people to people to people to people.
Correct. But that's been handed
That's
down
the
from
proof of
people.
what is real.
And what about all the other books that have lasted for a long time that have been handed down from people to people to
They're
people?
still in use
And what
today.
about other ideas that aren't, in book form that have been handed down from people to people to people? You're making absurd
What book?
arguments. You're claiming that
Where's
something
the
is
book
true.
though?
Claiming something is true because it's comfortable, because a lot of people have believed it, because it's been around a long
Wait,
time.
I actually-
Congratulations, you just explained why people felt that the earth was flat.
But here's something that's interesting that you were asking what books, because I actually have something in today's notes about that. There's a pamphlet someone gave me to use on the show that's called The Christian, the Holy Scriptures. And in that little pamphlet, it has a quote that says, "There is nothing like Scripture. If you could lay your hand on any human writing of 3,000 years ago, what would you find? A curious relic of antiquity having no application whatsoever to us or to our time. A musty document, a piece of obsolete writing referring only to a state of society and to a condition of things long since passed away. The Bible, on the contrary, is the book for today." Well, here was my observation on that. "Slaves, obey your masters" has application for our time. This is from the book for today. Buddhist teachings start at about 2,700 years ago, and there are many modern and traditional Buddhists today. Buddhist philosophy is extremely relevant to any time period as it addresses discipline and emotional response. The Vedas date from about 1500 BC and predate any biblical writings. The Upanishads are dated at around 800 BC. Certainly, there are still many Hindus today. And I've read these books and found many of the teachings to be very philosophically relevant to modern life. Arjuna, there's one example I was going to give, but I'll say that for another time since I don't have a lot of time. The Old Testament, by comparison, dates back to only about 500 BC, and that's the oldest date supposed. So in no way is the Bible unique in its age or in its applicability to modern life. Misinformation disseminated by Christian apologists is a common theme to Christian to atheist deconversion stories, and this is an example.
So where'd you pull that off of, the internet?
Well, that last part was my thought. First quote about the Bible being unique is from a pamphlet that a Christian puts out. What I say is that when you look up the information on the Hindu Vedas, the Hindu Upanishads, it way predates the Bible, and it's still in use today. And the same with Buddhist philosophy. And
so why don't you believe in that then?
Why should I? I don't believe in yours, and I don't believe in theirs for the same reasons. Why should I believe it? You have faith does not convince me that what you believe is true.
If you are going to go with your beliefs,
I'm just amazed by you guys. I mean, really, because I don't know. I just believe that you're always going to need somebody. You always have to depend on somebody, whether it's a higher power or
I depend on all kinds of people.
What I'm saying is, how do you wake up in the morning and not think that you just wake up and you think that you're depending on yourself every day?
How do you wake up in the morning and assume that everyone
I depend on God. I depend on God to give me.
The thing is,
how completely and utterly depressingly sad that is, that you think that the only reason you can get through the day after waking up is that God is looking out for you.
You know what will make your life better, though? Thinking rationally about the decisions you make and about the beliefs you decide to adopt. That will make your life better.